hell-bent. I gotta be honest, guys, I don't really know what to make of this thing. I mean, I'm fairly certain I don't like it, but yeah, and I can even cite some reasons why, but at the same time, I feel like I can't properly judge this thing because I don't think I really understand what it is or what it's trying to be. I mean, I suppose if I were to take the sort of the best case scenario comparison, the first time I saw Vincent and the Doctor, I didn't love it. I didn't dislike it, but it didn't do a lot for me. On a rewatch, I liked it much better because I understood what it was going for. Sort of the more pessimistic end of that is Time of the Doctor, which I also liked better on the rewatch, but still never have come to love. And maybe if I give this thing a second viewing, it'll work better, but right now, I don't know. You know, I didn't really know what to expect or what I wanted coming out of Heaven Sent, but I wasn't expecting this. Ultimately, it became about Clara, which is so weird to me because she had a perfectly good send-off 2 episodes ago. And God, she has had more perfectly good send-offs than she's had more perfectly good send-offs than Rory had deaths. Maybe not quite, but it sure feels like that. She had a perfectly good send-off at the end of Death in Heaven. Then she had a perfectly good send-off at the end of Last Christmas. She had a perfectly good send-off that involved her dying in Face the Raven, and then in Heaven Sent we had wonderful little sort of memorial notes on her, and now she's back, kind of, but still why? I feel like I've just watched what happens when a creator is too in love with their own creation. Because what it really feels like is that Stephen Moffat fell in love with Clara on a level that I certainly as an audience member never did. And I really feel like Stephen Moffat must have, because other than being completely enamored with this character, I can't think of any reason why you would do what this episode does. And that's not all that's weird. I mean, all the stuff ahead of Clara showing up is weird. The stuff on Gallifrey is weird. We get Rassilon back, which I called. I'm still a little disappointed that it wasn't Timothy Dalton, but you know, I can dig that it's somebody older. Maybe it was the effects of the Master blasting him. Maybe he had to regenerate. Who knows? But the actor, while I know him from Game of Thrones, and I actually really liked him in that, he doesn't have the gravitas or the weight or the sort of oomph that Timothy Dalton had, so that was a little disappointing. All the people on Gallifrey who weren't like in the military or part of the High Council being dressed like it was frontier land. And again, I really don't think I understood what it was trying to do, or the things that keep going in my head that maybe I see what it was trying to do. I don't see why it would do those things. Like, I get that, like, they're showing how far the Doctor would go for Clara, but I don't think that it shows anything about him that we didn't already see. I mean, we saw a lot of these same elements of like him breaking rules in something like Water of Mars. But I mean, you know, in that case, it was more the principle of the thing rather than for a specific person. But, you know, I feel like I've seen all the aspects that this episode seems to be bringing out, and forgot they had to rehash the idea of somebody losing their memory. I mean, slightly clever having it be the Doctor this time instead of the companion, but again, we already saw that with Donna. And the things that are completely new, I don't like. I don't like that the Doctor shot somebody. I don't care that he knew that he was going to regenerate. I don't like that. I do kind of like in that giving us another gender swap regeneration. It's clear that when this character was the man, that was the exception rather than becoming female. I mean, that was kind of nice. And maybe the purpose of that was to have it go a step beyond how he pushed the boundary in Waters of Mars. But are we just pushing the boundary for the sake of it? Or is it, again, because Stephen Moffat is just so in love with Clara and he's made the Doctor so in love with Clara that he's willing to go that distance? And I'm really kind of tired of the Doctor getting so enamored of his companions. I get that the companions are important to him, and I would never argue that they aren't, but throughout his history, so many companions have come and gone, and I can get the argument that, you know, later in his life, he sort of cherishes those connections more than when he was younger and he didn't understand their weight and their value, but this is getting old. I don't know, guys. I just don't know. The whole thing is just so weird to me. I'll be curious to see what people think, and if people get it, maybe I can figure out what's going on. But there are random bits that I like. The performances are fine. Maisie Williams was good, but the whole thing's just weird. So what for you has been the weirdest viewing experience Doctor Who episode? The one that you've watched and you're like, I don't get it. Whatever it is, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Until next time, this council is adjourned.